Today, I am sharing my best ideas for the best investments for growing your business. And people are always really curious about this. And they ask me questions like, um, what's the one best investment you've ever made? Or what's the one thing that you spent money on this year? Or, what's the last tech thing that you invested? And questions like, what do you spend money on basically? And so I wanted to have this conversation because I think it's a really, really important one. And I've broken it down into 4 different areas that, some might surprise you and some might be, really, really obvious. And you're like, yeah, of course you spend money on that. But before we dive in, what I have found is that most women actually think there's like a lot of complexity that goes into running a business, and some businesses are very complex, but there actually is a point in most businesses where you just can't upgrade past a certain point, right? And where it just becomes a system that's inside of your business. So oftentimes things are not as complex as we make them out to be, but we think that they are. Here's the thing about that. When you have a system, or a process that's working in your business, what I have found is that a lot of times the businesses that work, when you're making your first $10,000, when you're making $100,000, multiple hundreds of $1,000s, even $1 million, like sometimes even those same systems actually work inside of a business, right? It can be the same system. But here's the lesson and really the bigger point that I want to make inside of this conversation, where I want to get to today is that I want you to notice for yourself where it is that you may be reluctant to spend money, where you're reluctant to grow, where you're reluctant to create more ease for yourself by actually investing in systems or tools or other things that could actually expand your capacity, right? Allow you to do more, increase your bandwidth, make things easier, any of those things. Because if you're investing now, then what's happening is you're really creating a beautiful and brilliant container for growing your business and beyond 6 figures, up to the $1 million mark, beyond the 7 figures, right? And here's what's happening here. Like, it doesn't mean that there's going to be like one system that saves you all, or there's like one thing that you have to do that, if you don't do it, right? It doesn't mean that there's a perfect system. I've yet to find that, right? There's nothing that I found yet that I'm like, I'm going to do this forever, right? Everything has been an evolution and things do shift and change, but you have to be willing to invest in your business, to allow yourself to have the tools and the systems that you need, and to really audit that, right? To notice where maybe you are reluctant to invest or spend that money. So the principles of what I am sharing today are really about this upgrade, right? It's this principle of investing in yourself and inside of your business, because when you invest in yourself, you expand. Period. That's how it goes. So let's dive in. The first investment that I want to talk about is really good tools and systems. And this is one area that I see is really powerful for creating leverage. And a lot of women do not have the right tools. They just don't have the right systems in place. And so what happens is that things get bottlenecked and their bandwidth gets cramped, right? So I want you to think about the tools that you need to actually do your job and what you might be resisting investing in. I see people cheaping out all the time, right? Really not giving themselves even just like the basic proper tools, working on an old laptop, right? Not having a decent phone. Could be that you just you don't even have an extra screen for your computer, or you've got like a jankety system. And so it's really uncomfortable to even sit at your desk all day. It could be that you don't even have like an office space, right? That's appropriate for the work that you're doing. So all of those are tools. A good camera, good lighting, a good microphone, all of that is important. You guys have got a bunch of lighting going on here. I've got a light like right in front of me here. I've got a light over to the side. Let's see if you can actually see it. If you can. Oh, there it is, shining bright. Right? Like I'm there's things that are set up that allow it to be easier, right? Paying for a social media scheduler, having an online calendar that allows you to calendar across multiple time zones, an email system that actually allows you to automate things, right? Like these are all just like the super baseline basics. Having a social media scheduler, even having a system around how you create your content, how you actually put that out into the online world could be really powerful for you. And I know that we have a variety of different businesses here. We have people who don't run online businesses and people who have, brick and mortar, where maybe that's just sort of part of their bigger brand, right? I want to tell you that it doesn't really matter. Again, it's not about the system. It's about where are you resisting that upgrade and making it easier for yourself. So one of the things that I did for myself probably a couple of years ago was to invest in a different website platform that allowed me to combine all of my email systems, the platform where I could host my courses and all of my content. It allowed me to process payments, to be really specific about how I could tag people and sort my list of all the people who are following me. And that was a game changer, you guys, because before that I had lots of different systems that were all kind of like duct taped together. So investing in that Kajabi platform was a huge shift for me that allowed me to expand and reach, thousands of more people than I was able to before, right? Because it allowed me to grow. It allowed me to host the courses, to collect the payments, to offer free resources, in a way that was really easy and didn't require me to be there, emailing people out things, right? Also setting up systems and processes inside of my business that allow me to replicate work, so that we have processes and things that are outlined, standard operating procedures and things like that allows my assistant to do work for me. That has been a game changer. We use Trello inside of our business as our project management board. You can use Asana, Monday.com. Like there's 1,000 different ways that you can run that. Trello is a very visual platform and allows my team to communicate. We're in multiple time zones all across the world. And so that's been a really fabulous platform for us. We can house content, right? We're not reinventing the wheel. I've had a couple different assistants, and so as one has transitioned, it's been really easy to onboard the next because everything is documented. And so the training and the onboarding time has been lessened. Likely, if you aren't doing this, you are spending way too much time duplicating efforts, and it's holding you back from leveraging the time that you could be spending on money-making activities, right? The places inside of your business where you could really be showing up as a CEO. So I just want to get really clear for you, where is it that you are holding yourself back? What is it that's stopping you from making money at the moment, right? It could be the internet. It could be upgrading your computer system, diving into actually getting a better website, having a mobile responsive website. It could be having a system for emails or your social media, or processes in your business that you can then hand over to an assistant, right? All of these things are absolutely systems or tools that could be stopping you from making money in the moment. And sometimes we have to slow down in order to speed up in our business by investing in those things. So, you need systems that allow you to grow and scale your business, right? And so asking yourself, what do you need to be investing in is an important question. Okay, so that's number one. The second investment that is, and I have a question here, what is a social media scheduler? Is that a person or a software? So I have, so a social media scheduler would be like a software, like a Later or a Planoly or Hootsuite or any of those things where you can actually visually plan out what are the posts that are going out into the world of social media. So my business, we use later.com. That's, I'm not affiliated. It's just what we use. And it allows the account system that we have set up allows my assistant to log into that and be able to schedule the posts. And we have a whole system that we use on Trello on the back end where we are actually planning out what that social media calendar looks like, out throughout the year. So it's not like we're like doing it real time, right? It's already been reviewed, it's been edited, we know what the graphics are, and then she's using that platform to then schedule it out to multiple places, whether that's LinkedIn, Instagram, and inside of Facebook as well, right? So those are the major platforms that my business runs on and plays on. And so, we can do then targeted messaging and social media to those places by using that scheduler, right? And that allows us all to be interacting in it. It means that I don't have to be in there posting every day. So that frees up my bandwidth and my capacity to really, have the client calls, to be writing new content, to be doing things like this, right? Serving my clients. So that's what that is. Okay, so number 2, I think that's a really good lead-in, actually leads me to team. And having a team to take things off of your plate, right? Having a team to take things off my plate that I wasn't necessarily good at, right? To take things away from me that took too much time and energy, that I wouldn't want to do because I just wasn't that good at them. And so then I would procrastinate, right? Those were all things that a team helped me free up to do. So a really good example of that would be bookkeeping. There was a point I run 2 different businesses, and my own personal business, and then I have a business that's in a partnership with a woman, April Adams Bertui. Some of you may know her. We run the Grow Success Circle, which is a mastermind program, and then we have corporate programs that go along with that as well. And for us, when we actually made the shift to become a formal LLC and hire a bookkeeper, it was a major milestone in our business, right? In my own personal corporation, we have an accountant, and we are already doing some of those things. But hiring a bookkeeper for that business was a game changer, because that was something that I was like doing and running on a spreadsheet before that I really didn't enjoy. And it felt like we had a real business, right? And it meant that we had to, make a certain amount of money, and which we were already doing, but it allowed us to run more sophisticated reports, to have more sophisticated conversations about the financials in our business, right? And really look clearly at what were our expenses and where did we have runway to invest inside of that business, right? And and as a result of that, it just became so much more clear and obvious what were the actions that we could take to continue to move our business forward. And I think as a result of that, we went from, very little revenue our first year to, being in a multiple 6-figure category very rapidly, right? And so that was a game-changing shift, right? It was a symbolic investment in our business, right? And a symbolic investment in the future of our business, right? So I think those things are really key for you. Likewise, hiring my first virtual assistant was another symbolic investment, right? It was me saying, I'm ready to grow, right? And I need somebody to help me to expand my capacity, and I don't have to be the Jill and the jack of all trades, right? And then I layered things in, right? When I got someone to help me make videos, I have someone who helps me review those videos, post my emails, format my blog, do some of those sort of like back end pieces for my business, right? I was able to, then get somebody to help me with ads. Maybe I could do all those things myself, but you probably could too. You could probably do many of those things inside of your business. You probably have a lot of different skills. And at the very beginning of a business, you may have to be that Jill of all trade, right? But at some point, your capacity, right? Your energy is going to hit a max, right? There's not going to be enough time to do all the things, right? And time is currency, right? So, here's what I want to say about a team. You don't need a big team. I don't have a huge team. I've always prided myself on having a rather lean team. I don't want to manage, hundreds of people. That's not the business that I'm building. I wouldn't even consider myself full-time. But for you, right? What do you need in your business, right? Maybe it's a couple hours a week of somebody to assist you with some, really basic things. Someone who might be able to create some systems for you, help you with your website, maybe run some errands, schedule your emails, schedule your social media content, right? Help you do things that are holding you back from making money, right? Again, these are all about investments that are going to help you grow your business, right? And grow your next level of income and impact, right? So what are the things that you could take off of your plate that might give you the energy to go out and do more of those income producing activities? Okay, so think about what could be your first or your next hire, right? What do you need in your business? And then see where it is that you're holding yourself back. It could be that you need to hire somebody to do more outside sales for you. It could be, something totally different. Do an audit inside of your business and notice, where are the gaps, where are the bottlenecks, where are things getting hung up, where you just don't have enough time or capacity and you need some help and support, right? That's a great way to do that. Where could you expand your capacity if you had more help? Those are excellent questions for helping you source that out. Okay, number 3, personal growth. This is hands down one of the best investments I make every year in myself and my business. And I literally believe that some of the coaching programs, the retreats, the courses that I've taken have been some of the best investments in actually growing to multiple 6-figure businesses, right? It's the mentoring, the personal development, masterminds, coaching, attending retreats. These are all things that I have continuously done every year inside of my business that have allowed me to get to that next level. It's that intangible support that I believe we all need. And when we're growing a business, even when we're in leadership roles inside of like a corporation or organization, right? Even in a corporate job, there's normally some sort of organization that is set aside to provide mentorship and personal development, right? Like sometimes they might be struggling in doing that, but they know that it's important, right? And I would say that extraordinary leaders are powerful receivers, right? We cannot do it alone. And so we need to build the support system around us, right? And the truth is that if you are running an entrepreneurial business, there is no bigger growth journey than that journey, right? And so if you're putting yourself out there all the time, if you're stretching yourself out of your comfort zone, if you're, the CEO of a big multi-million-dollar organization, or if you're the VP of marketing, or you're just like running a solopreneur and you're a mom and this is like your side thing, right? You need backup, right? And you need someone to consult with, to learn from, to have mentoring, right? To be vulnerable with, right? It's really, really essential. One of the things that, for me, when I first started and I went from a corporate into an entrepreneurial setting and started to work for myself, and I left what I would call like the safety of that corporate job, right? Like I was in a little like comfortable box, right? And I had to like grow out beyond that into that next level of me. I was scared, right? I was like paralyzed by fear some of the time, right? Because everything came down to me, right? And that's what happens when you're in that entrepreneur role, right? Like I had to set my own prices, I had to sell my work, I had to share my offers, I had to build my brand, right? I had to be really public with all of my stories. I had to put value on what I did, right? I had to own all the customer service on the back end, right? I had to decide how much I was going to charge for speaking events, right? I had to say no to people, I had to set boundaries, I had to have hard conversations. All of those things were things that were coming down to me, right? And it takes a lot of energetic bandwidth right? It takes up a lot of space. And the fear can be paralyzing. It can be debilitating for a lot of women. So allowing yourself to have that support, letting it in, whether that's through one-on-one coaching, a mastermind, accountability, a strategist who can help you. Those are all ways to get at that. Personally, I've always needed examples of people who were a few steps ahead of me on the path. And I've really enjoyed programs where I'm with other women, whether that's at a retreat or part of a coaching program, because I like to stretch my mind around what my own potential is. And I like to see other examples of how things can be done. So then I can then go, oh, I like this, I don't like that. Here's how I could run that, right? And gather ideas, right? I need to look at areas in my business or my life where or maybe I'm not aware of, right? And I need somebody else's eyes to help me see that, right? Because sometimes when you have an outside third-party perspective, whether that's somebody who's teaching a course, or it's an actual mentor or coach, or inside of a mastermind, they can see things in a way that's, much more simple and easy, because they're not buried in the weeds of it, right? And they're not emotionally attached to it the way that you may be. So, think about, what is it that you need? What do you need to invest in the moment? And one of the things that I have learned inside of this journey is that everything is a buyable experience. And, people ask me, well, how do I find a mastermind, or how can I get an accountability partner? And I always respond, like, you buy it, right? You decide to invest in it, right? You put money behind it, right? You spend money to join somebody's mastermind. I've done it, right? You can't always find these things for free, not necessarily to the quality that you may desire. Right? So sometimes it's pain to learn from people who have actually curated an experience for you, right? This is an example, my Money Mastery Academy is a great example of that, right? I've curated an experience where we talk about money mindset, and I share tools for women on increasing their income and impact, right? By growing their revenue wheel, by thinking strategically about how they're tracking their abundance and they're thinking about their abundance, by releasing all the old money blocks, all the old abundance blocks, right? I have curated that experience, right? And we walk through all the issues that might be holding you back. And it's a buyable experience, right? For a couple $1,000s, you can get in there and have that experience and continue to benefit from it, right? So sometimes masterminding, mentorships, coaching, right? If you need that, it's incredibly worthwhile to spend your money on it. Every year I invest in courses, right? Inside of my Inner Circle Mastermind, that's my group of high-level women entrepreneurs who are really powerhouse. They're, already in that multiple six-figure range. Some of them are going for 7, right? They're kicking ass in their businesses, and they need a circle of women around them who can be strategic and take them to that next level, right? Like, that's what happens when women gather like that together. They create momentum, they ignite their potential, they fast track their goals inside of experiences like that. And they're doing that also because they have skin in the game, right? They have invested in that growth. So I want you to think about, where do you need to stretch your belief muscle, right? Where do you need to stretch, finding out what it is that's holding you back, right? Finding new ideas, finding fresh energy, finding new nuances, having accountability, right? To see what kind of support it is that you might need, right? Whether that's through a mastermind, through a course and a community like Money Mastery Academy, or through a mentorship, right? And if any of those are intriguing, like, come and have a chat, right? Okay, the fourth one, the last one here. This is a big one because it's about having support at home, right? And I know that we've been talking about investing in your business, but if you don't have the support that you need at home, it's really hard to give energy and have the capacity to fully work at the level that you need to inside of your business, right? And gender roles, let's be honest, still have women taking the majority of the household tasks. So this is a really important conversation to have with your spouse and to have with your partner, right? And sometimes some of us are working from home, especially over the last couple of years where, the world has been kind of flipped upside down with a pandemic, right? Many of us have found ourselves at home and double tasking on things that, maybe we wouldn't have done before. So whatever your situation, it doesn't matter whether you earn the same as your spouse, you earn more, you earn less, you're just starting, you're like the major producer. It doesn't matter. Having this conversation and understanding what kind of support your entire household community needs and the level of support and activities that each person is going to be doing is really essential. We call it being a citizen of our household. And so that's how we talk about it with our kids, and we have divided up certain tasks, right? And I'll be honest, I own the majority of our home tasks, but I've also allowed myself to receive more support, and that's been a game changer. right? So personally allowing myself to be supported at home has, freed me up to not feel burdened by it or frustrated by it or angry by it, but really feel like these are the things that I get to do that I want to be doing, right? These are ways that I can be contributing, right? So here's the reality, right? I had to have these conversations with my spouse, and honestly, he encouraged me to hire more people than probably I was even willing to at the beginning, because he could see that there was a bottleneck of my energy and my growth, right? And that frustration level was climbing because I was getting tight on time, right? And so if you felt any of that, right, that stressed out, exhausted, over everything, there's not enough space, right? That is not the source of abundant decisions, right? That is not your highest self, right? And so allowing yourself to receive the support that you need is essential. So, it may not be investing so much in your business, but investing in a cleaner, someone to do some laundry, to walk your dog a few days a week. I have somebody who helps me with childcare. I do have somebody who comes in twice a week to clean my house, and helps me with my laundry and putting it all away and changing the sheets on my bed and scrubbing the toilets, right? Like, I'm not above any of those things. I can do all those things, but that's not where I want to spend my time, right? That also allows me to be able to take on some of the activities in the afternoon with my daughters and actually pick them up from school or take them to events and have time with them, right? Because I'm not sitting there like folding endless loads of laundry. Or having somebody to walk my dog a few days a week gives me a break. Having somebody to, mow my lawn and rake the leaves, right, allows me not to be spending my entire weekend doing that, right? So what support do you need? Again, this is a conversation about what you can invest in, right? So I'm giving you my own examples, but what would give you space, right? What would give you space? What would free up your energy or your time to focus on yourself, on growing your business, on maybe like allowing you to have that hour for exercise, to be more present with your family, right? To focus on more of the income producing activities that are going to really drive revenue in your business. This is the conversation, right? So I want to go back to the very first thing that I said when we started this conversation, that this really is a conversation about making the upgrade, right? Noticing where you may be resisting investing money in your business or allowing things to be easier, right? What support do you need to invest in, or tools or systems or processes or team members, right? In order, or personal development, so that you can increase your capacity, you can, take the bottleneck out of your business, right? And free up the energy so you can focus on those money-making activities and the places where, really are your zone of genius, where you can create the most.